All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome in. My name is Alexis Miller. I'm one of the yoga instructors here for Yoga for Caregivers. This is our weekly stretch session where we focus on getting into our bodies, stretching ourselves out, getting us ready for the rest of our day and the rest of our week. So, as we move through practice today, keep in mind your boundaries. Notice where you're ready to extend into postures, where do you need to modify and come down to the mat, or perhaps find a center posture. Also, keep in mind, I don't often cue water. So, if and when you feel thirsty, of course, please feel free to step off your mat, grab that drink, and then join us whenever you feel ready. So, with all of that being said, let's go ahead and come into a comfortable position, whether your legs are crossed or they're straight out in front of you. You can be up on a prop like a block, that's what I'm sitting on, or simply down on your mat. And we're going to wiggle back and forth, rooting into our sits bones, sitting up nice and tall here. We'll inhale as we draw our shoulders forward and up, and then exhale as we drop them back and down. One more time. Inhale, the shoulders come forward and up. Exhale, they drop back and down. Hands come into a comfortable position, whether on your knees, palms up or down, or in your lap. You're welcome to close the eyes if you'd like, or just find an unmoving point and soften your gaze here today. This year, inspiration for our classes is drawn from the Native American medicine wheel based on Sun Bear's vision. The medicine wheel teaches us about movement and change and offers us insight that will help us learn and grow. The snake phase of the year happens under the freeze up moon. This is a time to turn inward. As the weather cools down and many in nature prepare to hibernate, we too can prepare for our own type of hibernation. This time is perfect for becoming absorbed with the mysteries of life. We've gained so much knowledge throughout the year. With this new understanding, we can expand our minds and start to consider forces way beyond ourselves. As you move through practice, attune yourself to the higher vibrations of being a person in this moment today. What is it like to experience your life from this perspective? So, settling in, taking a deep inhale through the nose, filling your belly, lungs, and chest with air before slowly exhaling that breath back out. Take a deep inhale, fill your belly, lungs, and chest with air. And then slowly exhale that breath back out. Take another deep inhale as you feel your belly expanding outward, filling entirely full of air. And then exhale as you draw your belly button in toward your spine. Inhale as you feel your torso expand and your collarbones gently lift. And then exhale as you feel your shoulders release down and away from your ears. Inhaling air in your nose, down your throat, filling the lungs. And then exhaling that breath out of the lungs, up the throat, and out your nose. Continuing to breathe deeply like this, inhaling and exhaling with your intention here of staying present with the breath, with really being fully present in this moment, the mystery of the now. Now, if it feels right for you, you can incorporate a mantra to help you stay grounded and focused in this moment. Inhale, I attune to. Exhale, the mysteries of life. Inhale, I attune to. Exhale, the mysteries of life. Remaining here with your breath or your mantra in whatever way best supports you for just a few more moments. Good. Take one more deep inhale here as you set an intention or a purpose for your practice today, which really can be anything at all, but it often answers the question, why did I get on my mat? Take a nice deep inhale as you feel that intention with your heart and mind. And then exhale that breath out. Set the intention off to the side, knowing we'll return to it toward the end of our practice. Lovely. Go ahead and come up off the prop if you are seated on one here. We're going to inhale, sweep our arms wide, bring them up overhead, cast our gaze skyward. Exhale, twist over to the left, right hand to the left knee, left hand behind your body, curving your head around into a seated twist. Inhale, come back into center, arms tall. Exhale, twisting over to the right, left hand to the right knee, right hand behind the body. Curve your head around into a seated twist. Inhale, we come back into center. Exhale, twisting over to the left, shoulders down, long spine. Inhale, coming back into center. Exhale, twisting over to the right, curving that nose around, staying rooted into the sits bones. Inhale, come back into center. Exhale, drop that left hand down to the mat and then step it about a foot away laterally to your left hip. On the exhale, lean over to the left as you reach through those right fingers, coming into a seated side bend. So press into that bottom hand to keep that side body open on the right side and that right hip rooted down onto the mat. Really reach through your top fingers here. Feel that opening in between each rib bone. Nice deep breaths. And then inhale, come back into center, drop that right hand down, step it out to the right about a foot laterally from your right hip. And then exhale, lean over to the right, reach through those left fingers, coming into that seated side bend on the opposite side. So press into that bottom hand so you really feel the depth of that stretch through the left side body, left hip still rooted down onto the mat here. Feeling that opening between each of those rib bones. Couple deep breaths here. And then we inhale, come back into center, arms reach tall. Exhale, drop the hands down. Roll over the knees or kick your feet out to the side. Let's come into a tabletop position. So the hands are beneath the shoulders, knees are beneath the hips, the tops of the feet come onto the floor. Good. We'll inhale, sink the belly, look up toward the sky, coming into a cow. And then exhale into a cat, press the mat away, feel the shoulder blades separate. Inhale into cow as you sink the belly, look up and toward the sky. Exhale into cat, press the mat away, feel the shoulder blades separate here. One more round. Inhale, coming into a nice deep cow. Exhale, coming into a nice high cat. Good. And then inhale into neutral. Nice work. If you have blocks, you're welcome to grab them here. I'm going to have them, but I will also cue without them. So no worries if you do not have them. So we're going to start by stepping our right foot forward. We'll come up into neutral. So check in with that right foot and see if you can heel toe it forward. So you've got an obtuse angle here so you can see your shin from this position. Bring those blocks into the hands on the high side. Take a nice deep inhale as you lengthen through the spine. And then as you exhale, sink down, dropping those blocks right beneath the shoulders here, coming into that nice low lunge. So we want the knee and ankle to be in line with one another. So we don't want to put too much pressure on that knee joint. We're feeling that gorgeous opening in the left hip flexor. Hands can be down on the mat if you'd like some extra support. They can also be up on the thigh, down at your sides. They can also be on blocks, and blocks can be at different heights. Notice where you're at today, and let's take a couple deep breaths here together. All right. Inhale, shift your weight onto that back knee, straighten the front leg, flex the front foot. Step those blocks back so they are beneath the shoulders if you're using them. We inhale, lengthen through the spine, nice flat back here. And then exhale, we hinge at the hips, lean forward at the heart center, coming into dragon. So as you lean forward, whether or not you have the blocks, keep those toes moving in toward the shin. Think about drawing your left hip forward and really leaning into that knee, keeping that back leg there lifted so you have that nice 90-degree angle. Good. Press forward with the heart center instead of the nose so you get that nice deep stretch through the entirety of that right leg. You're feeling it, and we're breathing here. Nice work, folks. We're going to inhale, come forward onto that front foot, move those props to the top of your mat here. Plant your hands on either side of your foot. Heel toe your foot over to the left side of your mat to the inside of the left wrist. Lower your right knee down to the inside of the right wrist. You may need to slide your left leg toward the back of the mat to lower down onto that leg here. Welcome into pigeon. So a couple options. You can stay right here on the fore or on the hands. You can come down under the forearms on a block or straight down onto the mat. Instead of rolling out onto that right hip, I want you to think about trying to press your left hip flexor down onto the mat. It doesn't have to touch, but it's that trajectory of that movement there. So that keeps this right hip lifted and it deepens and keeps that stretch in its fullest possible expression in the right hip. Last thing, keep your right foot flexed. So we're protecting the knee joint in this nice deep bend. And then wherever you are, let's take a couple deep breaths here together. All right, we're going to inhale ourselves coming back up onto the hands here. Go ahead and slide that right foot so it's in line with the knee, and then bring yourself back into your tabletop position. Maybe wiggle those hips back and forth for a little release. And then when you're ready, extend your right leg straight out to the side here. So it's directly parallel to or perpendicular to your body. Good. Now, keeping that foot where it is, toes pointing toward the top of your mat, we'll exhale, sink our hips back onto our left heel like we're coming into a child's pose, but this right leg is extended. So now we're feeling that nice deep stretch to the inside of our right leg. You can be down on the forearms. You can be up higher using props. You're also welcome to come down into that child's pose position. And if your head does not reach the mat, you can use your handy dandy block or a bolster, pillow to put some support there to help the forehead have a little release and the neck a little bit of a release as well. So wherever you are, let's take a couple deep breaths here together. All right. Inhale, go ahead, come back up onto the hands and that knee. Drop that right knee down for a moment, hands beneath the shoulders, knees beneath the hips, and then extend that right leg straight out behind you. Flex the foot, press through the heel. Good. So we're coming into pointed dog here. You can remain right here. Option, if you want to challenge your balance a little bit more, is to extend that right or that left hand out in front of you, fingertips on the floor. Or you can inhale, lift that left arm, palm facing toward your midline here. So notice, do you have a cow back? If you do, tuck your tailbone, engage the core, flatten the back, look down toward the floor. So we're really making the abs work here instead of that low back. Press through that leg, through the heel, away from the body. And let's take a couple deep breaths here together. All right, inhale, hand comes back down beneath the shoulder. Sweep that right leg over to the left, across that left leg. Drop the ball of the foot down to the mat, and then press into the hand. Spike that heel away from the body for a really nice calf stretch. Shoulders are shrugged down, elbows slightly bent. Again, notice how I have a cow back here. I'm going to tuck the tailbone, engage the core. So I've got a nice flat back here, and I'm really making that calf do the work. Couple deep breaths. All right. Inhale, go ahead, come back into neutral, maybe wiggle the hips back and forth, maybe roll out those wrists as you need. And then we're going to come on to that opposite side. So I'm going to flip around so we can continue to see one another. When you're ready, stepping that left foot forward. And again, making sure that foot is out at a bit of an angle. You want to be able to see your shin. Again, I'm taking the blocks, I've got them on the high side here. And then on the exhale, I sink into that low lunge, pop those blocks down beneath the shoulders. Now, checking in, knee and ankle are in line with one another. So we're protecting that knee joint. Hands can be down on the mat, they can rest on the leg, be at your sides, or on blocks. Wherever you are, let's take a couple deep breaths here together as we really feel into that stretch in that right hip flexor now. All right, inhale, shift your weight onto that back knee, straighten the front leg, flex the front foot, walk those props so they're beneath the shoulders if you're using them. On the inhale, we lengthen through the spine and flatten the back. And then exhale, we hinge at the hips, lean forward at the heart center, coming into our dragon, opposite side. So we press the chest forward, shrug the shoulders down, really keep the ears in line with the shoulders. We're not sitting back here, but instead staying tall in that knee and hinging from the hips. That's where the deepness in that posture is going to come from. Draw that right hip forward. So again, we're getting the fullest expression of this very deep stretch, adjusting blocks as you need. Notice what your body calls for here today. Just a couple deep breaths. All right, inhale, come forward onto that front foot. Move your props out of the way, hands down to the mat. Heel toe your foot to the right side of the mat, inside of that right wrist, knee down to the inside of the left wrist. You may need to slide your right leg toward the back of the mat slightly, coming into pigeon. So again, you can stay right here. Options. You can also lower down onto the forearms or come straight down onto the mat. Onto your forearms on a block or a prop or down onto the mat. Again, we're not rolling onto the left, but we're really dropping our weight on top of that right hip flexor. It doesn't have to touch the mat, but that's where we're headed. So we're getting that nice deep stretch in the left hip this time. Shrug the shoulders down. Let's find a couple deep breaths here together. And then we inhale, come back on up onto our hands and knees here. Slide that left foot so it's in line with the knee, and then come back into your neutral position here into tabletop. Maybe wiggle those hips back and forth, a little release. And then when you're ready, extend that left leg straight out to the side, toes pointing toward the top of the mat. When you're ready, sink the hips back onto that heel like a child's pose. Elongate the arms, forehead comes down to the mat. Using props here, maybe under the head or under the forearms as you need. Now we're getting that nice deep stretch to the inside of that left leg. So wherever you are, shrug the shoulders down and let's take a couple deep breaths together. All right. Inhale, come on up onto the hands and knees. Go ahead, bring your weight into your hands and that right knee, and then sweep that left leg around behind you. Flex the foot, press through the heel, pointed dog. So you can remain right here. Option is to extend your right arm straight out in front of you, fingertips on the mat. Or if you'd like, inhale, lift that right arm, palm facing your midline here. So core is engaged, tailbone is gently tucked. We have a nice flat back and the gaze is toward the floor. We're working our abs in this balanced posture, really reaching through the heel, reaching through that arm. Couple deep breaths here. Inhale, hand comes down beneath the shoulder. Sweep that left leg across the body to the right, and then drop it down to the opposite side of that right leg. Press into the hand, spike that left heel away from the body, getting a nice calf stretch here. So tucking the tailbone slightly, engaging the core, shoulder shrug down, really feeling that pull through the calf here. Couple deep breaths. Inhale, come onto that right knee, sweep that left leg back and bring the knee down onto the mat. Really nice job. Go ahead and come into a seated position and actually come right down onto your back. We're getting ready for final relaxation now. Really great work here today. So as you come down onto the mat, make sure that your props are out of the way. You can tuck your knees into your chest if you'd like for a moment or two, maybe rock back and forth for a little roly-poly action if that feels good. And then when you're ready, coming into that final relaxation position, so you can drop the soles of the feet down to the floor, knees are up in little mountains. You can stay here. You can also take your props, place them underneath your thighs and extend the legs long. That can release that low back. Soles of the feet can come together, knees out wide, recline down angle, and blocks can always be underneath the outer side of the thighs. You can extend one leg and keep the other in for fallen tree. You can extend both legs for traditional final relaxation. Really just finding a comfortable position for your hands. It's entirely up to you. If you prefer, you can also lay on your side, on your belly, or even just come into a seated position. It's really whatever you prefer. This is your final relaxation practice. So I invite you to make it so. And as you settle in here, just allow the breath to settle into its own rhythm and its own cadence. And then begin to notice it. Notice how fast or slow it's moving, how deep or shallow. Noticing the quality of each breath on your inhales the quality of each breath on your exhales. Just feeling into the gentle rise and fall of the belly, rise and fall of the chest. Allowing your attention to rest on the breath and just rest right here in this final part of our practice. If it's helpful, you can always come back to the mantra we use at the beginning of practice. Inhale, I attune to. Exhale, the mysteries of life. Inhale, I attune to. Exhale, the mysteries of life. Remaining here with your breath in whatever way best supports you for just a few more moments here today. I'm going to get quiet for this final part of practice so you can have it to yourself. Please know I'm watching the time and I respect yours, and I will let you out of this posture before the end of our practice. So lean back, let go, just rest right here with the breath. When we are truly present with our steps and our breath, our mind calms and we feel peaceful. Bringing your awareness back into the space, taking a deep inhale through your nose, filling your belly, lungs, and chest with air, before slowly exhaling that breath back out. Take another deep inhale as you begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. Move arms and legs, gently waking your body up. And when it's right for you, rolling onto one side, pausing there with an arm or a hand beneath your head. It's here that I invite you to bring back to mind your intention or your purpose that you set at the beginning of your practice that answered the question, why did I get on my mat? Take a nice deep inhale here. So you make your way on up into a seated position and we close out our practice together today. So finding that comfortable seat, rooting into your sits bones, sitting up nice and tall. We inhale the shoulders forward and up. Exhale, drop them back and down. Hands come into a comfortable position, whether on the knees, in the lap, or at heart center. Closing the eyes if you'd like. We take a moment to express gratitude for yet another lovely day here on earth, for our bodies that allow us to do so many things, including yoga. Thank you all so much for allowing me to guide you through this practice today. It was a joy and an honor, and I hope to be able to do so again in the future. The light in me, it sees the light in you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me here for this weekly stretch session with Yoga for Caregivers. Again, my name is Alexis Miller. You can find me here every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern, so mark your calendars, set your alarms. Also, make sure to look out for Yoga for Caregivers on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram, and you can find me on Instagram and YouTube as well. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week. I look forward to seeing you in the next practice. Bye.